Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now. Go to harrys.com/hamnation to get $5 off your first order. And by Icom. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. This is Ham Nation, episode number 257 for July 20th, 2016. Val, Amanda, and Dr. T. It's ladies' night. Hey, look who it is. It's not Bob. I'm Don at E5W. Hello from South Mississippi. You're watching Ham Nation here on most of this very same Twit network. We've got most of the standard cast of characters, except for Bob. Bob is out doing something musical, I'm sure. We'll hear from that when he gets back. About 2.5 hours to my north is George Thomas, W5JDX, up in the Jackson, the lovely metropolitan Jackson area. How are things up there?
Things are very hot up here, Don. And, you know, isolated thunderstorms, but never where I am, it seems. But been pretty hot here. I've been at transmitter sites all week, and I've got some tales from the transmitter site tonight.
Ooh, good. I can't wait. I love to hear that stuff. Awesome. We'll come back and check with you. We also have Valerie Hotzfeld, and she's up there, I don't know, in Valerie Land, wherever that is. How are you doing, Val?
Valerie Land, the middle of nowhere. Hey, I wonder if Bob's mad at me because it seems to be every time I'm on, he's not here. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. Yeah, it was hot here, too. We had 6 figures with heat index today, and they say it's going to be worse tomorrow. But that wasn't the story. We had close to 6 inches of rain in a 2-hour period. And here's a photo of our front yard. And unfortunately, we did get it in the radio room, if you want to show that, Brian. You got that picture?
Moment. Yeah. I just got to flip over to a different screen here.
Oh. And we actually had water in the radio room, so anything low on the ground pretty much needed replacing. So we're still trying to...
Yeah, wow. I was distracted.
Shove a lot of that. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, it came down and so fast, we just couldn't keep up with it, and it was pouring in the radio room here. Most of the stuff is off the ground, but a lot of our cords and things like that got destroyed. But and some still in the cornfields, and with this heat index, we're afraid it's going to start boiling the corn. But that's all I've got going on, but I'll be back in later I have a really good video tonight.
Wow. Having gone through Katrina and had several feet of water in my house, I can absolutely, completely understand just the helplessness you get from having water come in. And people say, oh, it's only a couple of inches. Well, hell, that's all it takes. You get 2 or 3 inches in your house and see how you feel about it. But, I mean, any water inside is too much water inside. So, anyway, I hope you guys didn't incur too much damage and lose too much stuff. And that's what insurance is for. It's all stuff, as long as everybody's safe and you don't sweat the small stuff, right? Gordon, how are you over in the West Coast? You guys don't have rain over there, so you don't know nothing about that.
We don't have rain, but we have hot temperatures. So I look forward in 3 weeks to going to Huntsville, Alabama, the big ham fest in Huntsville, and cooling off back there. And you let me know when you're ready for my short shots, because I've got an interesting topic tonight, Don.
Wait, you're coming to Huntsville?
I'm coming to Huntsville 3 weeks from now. I'll be there.
God, I can't. That's awesome, because, we'll be there with the Young Ham of the Year award and everything. It'll be awesome. Bob was there last year. You'll be here this year. It'll be great. Now all we need to do is get the rest of the band together and take our little show on the road. Speaking of hot out in Southern California, you guys wear a lot of short shorts out there, so why don't you go ahead and slip those on and tell us what's going on?
All right. Well, throughout the country, it's fair time. State fairs, county fairs, city fairs. The fair offers a great opportunity to show off ham radio. So, Brian, let's jump right into our fair report. Here is Don, KE6BXT. He's with the Amateur Television Network. He's getting all ready in a 20-foot booth. And that's what you want to try and go for if you're able to get into a local fair. Go for a 20-foot booth. And you'll see on the far side, we got antique radios. In the center is our operating area. And close to us is where we let the kids have fun. Fairs are a great way to spread the word about what ham radio is all about. And many times you can sneak in coax to an outside antenna. And even though this particular booth is only 10 feet in width rather than the 20 foot that you just saw, there's still plenty of area where people can walk on in and see what ham radio is all about. Well, starting with the left side of our booth, we have old-time radios. And that's a big attraction to folks that are sort of interested in radio. Maybe they're not a ham radio operator, but they have an interest. And you'll find that part of your ham radio group likely has a vintage radio collection. And these vintage radios will really draw attention to fairgoers coming to the state or the county fair. They go, whoa, what's this? Much more recognizable like this than some of our newfangled ham radio gear. And wow, this is really going back. I think that was one of Don's radios. And of course, we all remember the Zenith Transoceanic. So this is a great way to get folks coming into the booth where we want them to look at ham radio. Got to have good signage. So there it is, ham radio field day. Well, it's not really field day, but nonetheless, it gets everybody's attention. Off to the right-hand side is Don Hill's 2.4 gig system for live amateur television. And behind me, you can actually see the ATN feed going on right now. They are a great group, and amateur television is a great way to get kids involved in looking and playing with ham radio. Don, you never looked better, and he's got a good test pattern there, and we had loads of stuff, and kids were just intrigued to see what was happening on amateur television. Get an HF radio and make sure that beside the headphones that you'll need to operate at the county fair, where it's very noisy in some of these big exhibit halls, that you have an external speaker that we see there so folks can hear what you're listening to. And there's our favorite, the Icom 9100, that has really worked hard at probably 8 to 10 fairs. And there's Don Hill looking at the instruction manual. So when you bring your Tech, Kenwood, Alinco, Icom radios, make sure that you've got the instruction manual, because not everyone may be familiar with some of the sub-menu items. And look at that, nostalgia to the left, a good old TS520 from Kenwood. Remember those days of tuning it up? And work with the folks that come into the booth as third-party traffic, as Don is preparing to do. Get them on to say a few words, and this really makes them feel happy. So don't be just sitting there with your back to the folks looking in, but rather, as Don's doing, come on in, grab a microphone, and as third-party traffic, talk to folks. And what we try and do is during our county fair and state fair, we try and work every state. And that really gets folks excited that have not been tuned into ham radio to see where we can talk to. And of course, digital computers, kids go together. And there's Pastor Jason set up. And APRS, it's not quite Pokemon. I hope I said that right, chat room. It's not quite like Pokemon, but it is nonetheless intriguing for folks to come in and look. And that's the AvMap and the Kenwood mobile radio. And Don is doing his best to show off all the neat stuff out there. And that's Don Arnold, W6 GPS. That's his little finger showing off APRS. You can even check and see where your car is out in the fairgrounds parking lot. Even take a close look and maybe you got someone walking around the fairgrounds. Have your QSL cards posted, because that's also another big attraction to folks attending a state or a county fair, to see all these neat QSLs, including the space shuttle and those space station shots, and even old ones. CW, digital modes. Well, we showed them earlier on the computer, but have live CW. Kids really get turned on with live CW. Have a CW board, and we recommend have different pitch CW keys, because kids are going to come up there and they're going to start pounding away. And then you tell them, spell out your first name, and they'll see the dots and dashes, and it's no harm that they're looking at the code to get started sending it. We know, learn code by sound. That's what my audio CDs do. But after a while, the kids will get the hang of it. And also have paddles, and they'll drive you crazy when they're just hammering away with nonsense code. But then work with them and say A is one side and the other side, and they'll be amazed that they are sending CW. Here's another special, and that is the Snap Kits. Young kids really enjoy putting these together. The lights light up when they depress the key, or a siren sounds, or a little whiz dinger goes sailing in the air. Another great way to keep folks in your booth entertained. And of course, if you look upper right, that's Icom with their band chart. So when those hams stop by, we don't need to convince them about ham radio, but lay on them a band chart. And of course, if you've got DVDs of your recent field days, go ahead and play them. There's some classic ones, including, look at this, Walter Cronkite DVD many years ago, but it really captures everybody's interest. So have a good-looking booth. Make sure the tables are draped, and we'll give you some pointers next week on how to make sure when the booth closes down that no one globs on your equipment. And local ham clubs make sure that they've got their class flyers out there, and also a sign-in, because those that are hams really enjoy signing into the booth, feeling part of the ham radio deal. And outside, there's Clint, the satellite guy, taking us on working satellites. And as you can see, we started out with 3, and now we've got a huge crowd around us that are amazed. And you tell them, come on into the ham booth and see all what ham radio is about. And of course, when you're at a state or a county fair, you got to have some food at the Heart Attack Cafe. Deep fried butter, chocolate covered bacon, triple bypass, the Heart Stopper, the big one, and the Flatliner. So we encourage all of you to take in your local county fair. If you can, try and get a ham radio booth. You'll need to work on this at least a year in advance to be able to get into the public service section of the fair. And hopefully it's not too expensive, and hopefully they're not going to want more than $1 million liability. And ARRL insurance is a great way to go. That's part of your club's package. So work the fairs this summer, and give me some photos, and we'll share them here on the Ham Nation. Everybody have a great time, because Susan and I are headed to our local county fair right now. Amateur Television Network over my right shoulder, thank you for showing our show to the troops. All right, Don, back to you.
I'm so excited you're coming to Huntsville. I can't get over that. That's so cool. Because the last time you saw Tyler, he was less than a year old. When you were in New Orleans that time, and he's coming with me. So Tyler will be there. You'll get to see Tyler. Unfortunately, Dawn is not coming this year, so you won't get to see her, but that's awesome. Who knows? She may come. You never know, but that's cool. I can't remember last time you were in Huntsville, so that's awesome.
Yep. Times in 3 weeks.
I know. Can't wait. Thank you, Gordon. We appreciate you. Have a lovely evening over there on the West Coast. And now we're going to get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2020, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, July 20th, 2016. U.S. amateur radio operators were shocked last week to hear the news that Amateur Electronic Supply had decided to close its doors at the end of July after 59 years in business. This week comes news that the Milwaukee location of AES is reopening as the newest ham radio outlet. We hear more from Paul Brown, WD9 GCO.
According to Steve Gilmore, W4SHG National Sales Manager for HRO, the decision to discuss acquisition of some AES personnel was made as soon as the news broke that they were going to close at the end of July. The most important thing to us was to acquire that knowledge and experience in customer service, said Gilmore. Gilmore said that they had approval of AES's senior management to conduct the interviews, and while they were on site in Milwaukee, they came to the conclusion that having a centralized location would not only serve an area where they had previously no presence, but would also allow them to have much quicker shipping times to more of the country. The company's plan is to completely remodel the Milwaukee store, at which time they believe that they will have the largest physical amateur radio store in the country, possibly the world, with merchandise from every major manufacturer in the field. When I asked Gilmore about the other AES locations, he said that mathematically, the Milwaukee location was the only one that made sense right now. Ham Radio Outlet has been in business since 1971 and currently has 13 locations across the United States. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9 GCO in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Emergency preparedness is critical for American Indians living on often remote tribal lands. There's an emergency drill coming up involving the tribes, and organizers need your help.
The National Tribal Emergency Management Council and the National Tribal Amateur Radio Association are calling Wednesday, September 21st, the day of the quake. And they're hoping to get some of the ham radio stations in American Indian country involved in an important exercise that day. Working with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the groups will collaborate on an emergency communications drill, passing messages from the Tachi Nation in Lemoore, California, to New York about a simulated West Coast earthquake and its aftermath. A well-scripted scenario which will include a building collapse, evacuations, and a search and rescue operation for those missing. For the exercise to work best, however, it will need the involvement of amateur radio relay stations, and in this case, the relays should be stations based in tribal communities or tribal members who are hams wanting to participate. Any tribal amateur radio clubs or individuals within tribal communities wanting a role in this event should contact Nathan Nixon at nathan.nixon@itcaonline.com for details. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG in Bloomington, Indiana.
Of course, the Atlantic hurricane season is just getting started.
Storm season is upon us, and if last year's hurricane season can be considered history, then the ARRL webinar on Thursday, July 21st, might be considered a history lesson. The 90-minute program is a guide to preparing for this year's Atlantic hurricane season and emergency response, and will include a look back at the roles amateur radio played during last year's season. The overview will touch on the Hurricane WatchNet, the Voice over Internet Protocol Hurricane Net, the Canadian Hurricane Center, and the ARRL's coordination. Registration is open. If you have questions, contact Mike Corey, KI1U, the ARRL's Emergency Preparedness Manager, at mcorey@ARRL.org. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Bobby Best, WX4ALA.
No matter where you live, it's best to, as the Boy Scouts say, be prepared. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Paul Brown, WD9 GCO, Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG, Bobby Best, WX4ALA, Karen Eve Murray, KD2 GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. All right, some good stuff from the Ham Nation Amateur Radio Newsline crew. Time to get, I believe we have Dr. Tamitha Skov with us now. Dr. T, how are you?
I'm very good. How about yourself?
I'm good. We've got some space weather news, and it's only fitting that we have you on here live because 47 years ago today, back when you were but a glimmer in your daddy's eye, Neil Armstrong set foot on the surface of the moon 47 years ago today. So we're celebrating that by having you with us live. So what's going on with the solar weather?
Well, we actually are in the middle of a solar storm. So the sun is also celebrating that fateful year. And that was an excellent year. I was actually born that year. I think I'm dating myself. But yes, I absolutely, it's actually fitting that that this happened just right now because the sun is picked up in activity. We've actually had quite a bit of activity from two regions, 2565 and 2567. They're kind of touching each other and having a little comedy routine that they're doing. And they've been firing off solar storm after solar storm. And one of them just finished hitting just over the last 24 hours. And it kind of perplexed some of us scientists because it hit early. It was way earlier than predicted. Sorry about that flash there. That was a cruciform scan that this satellite has to do in order to kind of keep its instruments tuned. So you'll see that periodically. I apologize. But this storm hit early, but then it kind of hit weak. It was very, very strong field, but it wasn't the type of field that we needed in order to cause a really big solar storm. So we had some issues with ham radio, not as much as we anticipated, and we didn't get all that much aurora. But now we're actually past that storm. We're actually seeing, whoops, there goes that cruciform scan again. We're actually seeing the fast wind from this dark coronal hole that you see right here. That has been following the storm. We think that's what kind of pushed it forward and got it to hit Earth sooner than anticipated. And we're going to be dealing with the fast wind from that storm over the next few days. It probably isn't going to give us too much issues. If anything, it might actually help ham radio. And the reason for that is because of the magnetic field configuration. There's actually a way that you can get strong enhanced fields that actually will help propagation instead of hurt it. So that's what we're dealing with. But we are still dealing with solar flares from this region. Believe it or not, we actually have gotten to the point where we get amateur radio, we're getting actual ham radio blackouts. We actually just literally like 30 minutes ago had an M-class solar flare. This is the M-class M flare threat level. You can see it right there, and this just barely peaked over it. So we actually are, believe it or not, still not that close to solar minimum. If we're able to have M-class flares, you can expect that the ham bands are going to be, an issue, especially during the daylight hours. So keep keep it in mind that you're going to start seeing these things, or that you're going to keep seeing this type of noise over the next few days until those two twin regions rotate out of view, and that's going to be a little while from now. As a matter of fact, if I go to this is what the field or the solar flux has been doing over the past couple days. And you can see we are popping these flares, but this is the first M-class flare, and I'm not sure if it's going to keep on going, but this is a good sign for radio propagation in general, except for dealing with the radio blackouts. Now, going to our planetary K index, we actually did get to storm levels. This is a stoplight chart that shows green is good, yellow is active conditions, and red is storm. And you can see over the past, just over the past day, we've actually had about 6 or 9 hours worth of storm conditions. So if you guys were wondering yesterday kind of why the ham bands weren't doing so well, it was because the storm had to pass. We've now come back down into the green, so radio conditions should be looking much, much better. So what I'm going to do is give you my 5-day forecast here. This is for those of you who are in the know. This is the solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week. We've got high latitudes and mid latitudes. For the high latitudes, NOAA is still expecting that we might have minor storm conditions with about a 30% chance of a major storm. This is at high latitudes, so about 60 degrees north or above, which will then be calming down over the next few days. This is probably overblown a little bit. I think for ham radio, you guys aren't going to be seeing many disruptions from this from here on out, but things will continue to get quiet over through the weekend and out through the early next week. At mid latitudes, there's a lot less to deal with. We might still get a chance for a minor storm, but probably not. It's pretty much looking pretty good. So we think we've gotten over the worst of the hump, and then things should continue to quiet down as the week progresses.
Okay, I've got one question from the chat room that I thought was pretty and an observation. Randy K7AGE noticed that the chat room chatter drops during your report, so they're paying attention to you. And VE3MIC Mike up in Canada wants to know if you've ever been approached to go on the ISS, and a follow-up to that would be, would you?
Absolutely, I would if I had been approached. I have not been approached, although when my younger years, I actually did apply to be an astronaut. I did not get selected, mainly because I didn't serve in the military. But I've done my duty as a military advisor. Let me say that. I also have the next best thing in terms of a job for being with the ISS. I actually advise the ISS when there's going to be aurora. I speak to astronauts on a regular basis, and I've even been emailed directly from the ISS, and it was very, very funny when I got the email. because it was from Reed Wiseman, and he said his location. He said location. This was his signature line. It said low Earth orbit, and I thought that was really kind of cute that he would put that as his signature for where he worked.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so now you know the next step though is getting your ham ticket. That way you can just talk directly to him without having to worry about the email.
That's right. Yes, and then I can just advise him directly. But then I think my astronaut liaison, who is Mike Fossum, who is a fantastic guy. If you guys ever get a chance to see him, he's very active on Twitter. He also does a lot of STEM outreach. He would be very, very upset if I stopped going through him, because I think he likes to be someone who actually tells the ISS crew what Tamitha's talking about and what type of aurora photos she can parse up to them, so that they can then give stuff back down and do these wonderful movies and just absolutely awe us all.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being with us live tonight, Dr. T. We appreciate it. We're not going to hold you through to the chat room. We did that last time, but we'll have you back next time, perhaps to regale us with some more chat topics, and that was a lot of fun. And of course, I'm a little older than 47, but you'll notice that. Notice how smooth my face is. You notice it does not look like the surface of the moon. Do you know why my face does not look like the surface of the moon? It's because I'm a Harry's man. That's why. And you can be a Harry's man too. Shaving is something that, quite frankly, nobody enjoys. It's a chore. But Harry's is something that I like to do for myself as kind of a treat. It's kind of I don't know, something nice that I do for myself, because, I get to, I put my music on. I like light jazz sometimes when I break out the Harry stuff. I'm a big Joni Mitchell fan. Love the Joni Mitchell stuff. And I'll get my hot towel, and I'll do my face up with the hot towel, and I'll put my Harry's shave cream on, and I'll get my blade out, my Harry's, and I'll just take half an hour. I'll just stand there, and it'll be great. And you get in the shower first, and the heat it just makes your face. But I digress. Anyway, the point is not my shower habits. No one wants to hear about that. But the point is that Harry's is a great company. They're a high-quality company. They make a high-quality product, and those products are high-quality, high-performance German blades. They're crafted by shaving experts, and they really feel good. I'm not kidding you. I hate to shave, but I love my Harry's. They have a flex hinge, and it contours to your face. It has an aloe lubricating strip, gives you a nice, smooth finish. And seriously, I got to tell you, it's the best shave that I've had in years. And Harry's is factory direct, so the blades are about half of what the leading brands cost, and they're shipped directly to your doorstep. So you don't have to deal with the lines at the drugstore, wait for somebody to unlock the plexiglass blade locker. And getting started with Harry's could not be easier. Over 1 million guys have made the switch to Harry's. The website is streamlined. It's easy to use. It takes less than 30 seconds to place your order, and you can place your order in just 4 taps with the iOS app. And of course, along with all that, you get great customer service. And, I've been using both the Winston set and the Truman set. They're really high quality. This is the important part right here, and that is the blades. They're super sharp. They give you a close, comfortable shave. And you get the razor handle with the great look and the feel. You get extra razor blades, shave cream, or foaming shave gel. And it feels great. And everything just looks great. It works great. It's extremely sleek. And the best part is it costs about half as much as other razor brands. Also, this is really nice. This is the aftershave lotion. I put this on this morning, and I can still smell it on my face, and it smells clean. It smells manly. It smells great. It also hydrates and protects. It's non-greasy. It's really, really nice. And another thing that I like, this is extra stuff you can buy, but this is the daily face wash, and it has eucalyptus and peppermint, and it's exfoliating, so it's got the little grit in it. And this stuff is just, it's everything that comes from Harry's is great. And it's all shipped right to your door. So why pay $32 for an 8-pack of blades when you can get them for half the price at Harry's.com? The Harry's Starter Set, the Truman, is a great option. For new customers, it's a great deal, too. For $15, you get the razor handle, the moisturizing shave cream, 3 of the Harry's 5-blade German-engineered razors. Also a special offer for Ham Nation viewers. Hers will give you $5 off your first purchase. Just visit harrys.com/hamnation. 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 Don't compromise. Give Harry's a try today. Your face is worth it. You'll thank me. People do. People email me all the time going, I got to tell you, I love that Harry stuff. They email me more about Harry's than anything else that they email me about on the show, except for maybe Dr. T. And Harry's, we thank you so much for your support of Ham Nation. And so from one lovely, smart lady to another, it's time to head over to talk to, let's just visit Valerie's de-extravaganza of DXiness. I think that's what we should do right now.
That's so sweet. Thanks, Don. Well, tonight I had, last week I had a chance to Skype with a ham radio operator that you may have seen before. We had him on Ham Nation when we were live from the Contest Super Suite back in 2015. He also stayed with us last year, and I have proof of that because he signed my bathroom guest book. His song that describes his experience, I don't know if you can see this, Good Vibrations. There you go. So his name is Tom Anderson, Oscar Zulu 1 Alpha Alpha, and here is our interview if you want to show that, Brian. I am joined today with Tom Anderson, Oscar Zulu 1 Alpha Alpha. He's from Copenhagen, Denmark. Well, originally, because right now he is on the road. For the last 5 years, he's been cycling around the world. He's been meeting lots of hams and regular folks along the way. And so far, he's bicycled over 30,000 miles and 2,000 days on the road. Welcome aboard, Tom.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. So glad you could take time out from being on the road. Kind of give everybody a feel for what's got you started to even begin this endeavor.
I'm from Denmark, and that's a place where we like to ride our bicycles. So kind of riding the bicycle, that was nothing new for me. I always rode to school and university and even to my job. And I also started to travel. And at some point I thought, hey, what if I can combine my two big passions, that is like riding my bicycle and travel. And I started just with smaller trips. I did like summer holidays, 2 weeks rides in Europe. Then at some point I did a longer ride. I was for 2 months in India, crossing India from south to north. And that was where I realized I kind of like this adventure kind of part of the whole thing as well. And then I was reading some books about people who cycled all around the world, and I was reading blogs on the internet, and I decided, hey, I want to do this as well.
So the first country you crossed entirely, would that be Denmark, or was that India?
Well, I started this trip. This trip has been going on for 5 years, and I started back home in Copenhagen, my city, Copenhagen in Denmark, and that was on the 2nd of October 2010. So we are at 5 years plus now, and getting towards 6 years. I hope to be back before 6 years. I hope to be back before the 2nd of October 2016.
And be done, completed.
That's it. So we have a couple of months to go on this long trip. Yeah.
So far, how many countries have you cycled through?
Yeah, right now I'm in Egypt, and Egypt is country number 49 by bicycle. And I will add another. I plan to go up to Cairo here in Egypt, and I will take a flight over to Morocco, because it gets a bit complicated now. It's a little bit difficult to get kind of out of Egypt, because there is Libya, and then there is Syria on the other side, so it's you have to fly.
You're in some dangerous areas. I mean, have you encountered any kind of close calls in some of these countries or near them?
My overall experience is that the people have been absolutely friendly and helpful everywhere in the whole world. I was even cycling down through Syria in 2010 before the sad situation over there with the war, and I met only friendly people there. I've been in some other countries in Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, that is also known to be like difficult, maybe dangerous countries. But the thing is, when you're on the bicycle, you're always kind of a very low-key visitor to a country, I guess. And it's not like people don't want to harm you when you're on the bicycle. I think that's a general idea. But what I think is the kind of risk is to be out in the traffic. So I'm out in the traffic for 6, 7, 8 hours every day, and I had some close call with the trucks. I was in Namibia. I was riding a kind of like straight road that was just like a straight road for 20 miles. And it was not a lot of traffic. And I was actually not even cycling. I was at the side of the road. And I just decided I heard a sound, and I was looking behind me, and I saw a big truck coming, like right in my direction. And I had time to think that this guy wants to kill me or he has fallen asleep, one of the two options. And it turned out that it was option number 2, like he had actually fallen asleep. And I had time to jump, like I really had 1 second to think, and then I had to jump away from my bike, and then he hit my bicycle. And the back wheel was completely crashed, and I had to get a lot of repairs done, but luckily I was okay. I just jumped away like 1 second before.
So you were able to use the same bike?
Using my same bike now, but I had to get a new wheel, a new back wheel, new pedals, and kind of extensive repairs, but I'm using the same bike still. Yeah.
Luckily, you've never been injured in your 30,000 miles that you've been bicycling.
Yeah, knock on wood, yeah. I have a few months to go before I'm back home. And I think the beautiful thing is that I've met so many friendly people all over the world as well, in all these countries. Never really... I had my phone stolen once in Peru. I guess that's normal. That could happen everywhere. And even back home, like people steal bicycles and stuff. But I never lost anything serious. And I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Now, you were mentioning that you have to fly around a lot, you and your bike and all your, your personal belongings. So are you self-funding this, or are you getting donations, or is this really expensive, or you've managed to keep it pretty low-key?
I tried to do it at a very low budget. My basic budget is $20 a day, $20 US a day. And that seems to be working quite well basically all over the world. When you are in a very expensive countries like countries in Europe or Australia or the US, of course, I need to use my tent. I have my tent on the bicycle. I'm camping. And in the U.S., I was experienced so much amazing hospitalities from the radio amateurs, from the hams there, that I think I counted. I was in the U.S. for 2 months, and I paid for 2 days in a motel. I think one night in Georgia and one night in Richmond as well. I paid, and that was it for 2 months. All the other nights I was either camping, but that was not even too much, and then I was staying with the radio hams along the way. That worked out great.
Well, I know you stayed here, so we're
exactly
glad to have you back next year as well if you're up for it.
I would absolutely love to be back for the barbecue there. Yeah.
The hams have helped you out with hosting families and things like that. Has ham radio helped you out in any other way with your adventure?
Yes. Right now, I was a month ago, I was trying to get this visa for Sudan, which is very, very difficult to get. And of course, I asked my friends, my ham radio friends, hey, do you know anybody? And there was a few guys who was really doing a lot of help, actually, trying to get this visa for Sudan, like radio hams who have been there on the expeditions and even lived there. Unfortunately, in the end, I didn't get the visa, but it was not for the lack of connections, kind of. I really had very good connections to try to get this visa. In the end, I decided to fly, so I flew over Sudan, and now I'm here in Egypt and cycling again. But if I had more time, if I could spend another month trying to get the visa, I would get it. But I decided, hey, I want to be back in Denmark before when it's still summer, before October. So I decided, okay, I will fly.
So they say amateur radio opens the doors to the world, I guess not just on the air, but in real life. So that's kind of cool. Now, do you only, when you're finding host families to stay with, are they mostly been ham radio operators, or do you have something on the web where people can sign up if they want to become a host family for you, or is it just through people you know? So
it's a mix of everything, really. Sometimes it's people I just meet on the road. Like sometimes I just meet guys and when I'm cycling, and they say, hey, where are you from and where are you going? And I say, yeah, I'm from Denmark. I'm cycling around the world, and I think I'll stay in this area for tonight. And they invite me home, and it has happened several times, and it's amazing. Of course, the ham radio operators, especially in the U.S., I would say, and Canada, it was absolutely amazing. And there's a lot of hams there. There's not a lot of hams in Africa.
Yeah, I know.
I met a few people, but I've been here for 6 months now, and I think I stayed maybe 2 or 3 nights with ham radio operators here. But then the other thing is that it's quite cheap here. So with my $20 a day budget, I can still pay. I'm paying $8 for this room tonight, and it has air conditioning, it has Wi-Fi, everything. So the dollars take you up. a bit further over here. So that's
now, how long do you think it's going to take you to bicycle through Egypt?
Egypt, that will take me about 2 weeks. I will be here in Egypt just for 2 weeks. Then I will fly over to Morocco, and I will spend maybe a week there. And then it's basically a 2 months ride back to Denmark through Spain, France, Germany, Denmark. That will take 2 months. So I'm aiming to be back in Denmark just around the end of September, when it's still kind of nice weather before the fall. So, and then just before it's 6 years on the road, I hope to be back home. That's the plan for now.
If our viewers want to follow you on your adventures around the world, what's the best way that they can do that?
I have my website. It's called cyclingtheglobe.com, www.cyclingtheglobe.com. And I'm also on all the kind of modern social media, like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and just Cycling the Globe, and you'll find me there.
Thanks, Tom, for joining us. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, cycling the world, and making amateur radio a part of it.
Yeah, wonderful. And I've been listening to your show. I was on for a few minutes when we met at Dayton last summer, and ever since I've been listening to all the podcasts there. So great show. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for taking Ham Nation on the road with you. Take care and all the best and safe travels. And that was Tom. And I know some people in the chat room were asking, if you come to our shack and hang out and you visit the bathroom, you're required to sign my bathroom guest book. Just an FYI. So that's all I've got for this week. I'll see you guys next time. Now I'm going to pass it over to one of my favorite sponsors, Icom.
Get out there and get on the air. Combine your recreational enjoyment this summer of amateur radio with the great outdoors. Join the National Parks on the Air event and celebrate our national parks turning 100 years young. Just be sure your Icom equipment is ready for action. See how Icom is changing the way receivers are being designed with Icom's new IC7300. It will exceed expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Limited space is no problem with the IC7100 base station. It's a great compact D-Star option. Angled control head and touchscreen for quick intuitive operation, large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and it's perfect for multi-band and all-mode communications. Simplified operation, HF and digital technology, the IC718 base station is the most practical rig you will ever own. Front-mounted loudspeaker, DSP capability, selectable antenna tuner, and simple operation. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all Icom radios. You can tune in and enter to win. After each episode of Ham Nation, go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register to win for some great swag prizes like hats and T-shirts. And while you're there, you can learn how you could be entered into the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for July, that new radio is the Icom ID 5100A dual band, dual watch VHF UHF transceiver with touchscreen. It's analog and D-Star, internal GPS built-in, DV FM repeater list-up function, available Bluetooth unit and headset, Android application, and more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. After this and each episode of Ham Nation, throw your name in the hat and register to win. And don't forget to follow Icom America, Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. Well, this week, I've got another tale from the transmitter site for you. Before we look at the photos here, I just have a few of them. I've been all week out at transmitter sites again. If you've ever seen a ceramic transmitting tube, like, one of the 3CX or 4CX model of tubes, they got ceramic base on them, and then they've got a silver heat sink on them. And, all the metal on the tube is just, good, shiny looking silver. Well, here's a photo of one that came out of a transmitter I worked at this week. Yeah, that's pretty ugly looking, isn't it? It's black. That usually means that it's hot. But if you look at the two handles there where you pull it out, that looks kind of brown and flaky there. And, what's the, wow, there you go. That tube, it's the first one I've ever seen that's rusty. It's got rust caked all over it on the handles, all around the heat sink there. I've never experienced that before, and I hope I never do again. Gee, what a ugly looking tube. Of course, the transmitter would not come on when I tried to run it. Here's the connection that goes around the anode of the tube or the heat sink there. You can see it's corroded and pitted up and arced, and you can see there's a few teeth missing out of it too. Let's look down inside that tube socket now. Well, there you go. There's the fingers that connect to the various elements on the tube there. You can see a lot of them are burnt and missing. When I pull the tube out of the socket, some of those teeth came with it. So not a very good sign there. Let's look up under the tube socket. Well, there you go. That doesn't look very good either, does it? All the nuts, hardware, anything that could rust in there was rusted. And boy, what a what an eye opener. I haven't been taking care of this particular site. Well, I've been taking care of it a few months, but I never had occasion to look in this backup transmitter before. It's always come up every time I tried to run it. It didn't look real good, but it came up, and I'd knock on well, there's no wood, so concrete blocks or whatever was handy, and it was working. The meter readings weren't great. Everything kind of shook around a little bit, but when I tried to turn it on this week, it wouldn't come on at all. What it ended up being is there was no filament voltage getting to the filaments of that tube. The socket had corroded and gotten so bad underneath that it just wasn't contacting the tube physically. And I could tell that because the filament voltage meter was reading a little higher than normal. And then when I shut the transmitter down, discharged everything, of course, fell to the tube. It wasn't warm at all, so it had no filament voltage on it. What happened is there's that auxiliary transmitter, and then there's a main transmitter in this same building. The building is air conditioned. Of course, these things generate a tremendous amount of heat. The heat coming out of the stack of, a transmitter that runs, 25 to 30 kW is generally, somewhere in the 160 degree Fahrenheit range. So it's a lot of heat coming out. So they had put exhaust ducts on both of these transmitters over the final tube cavities there to exhaust the heat outside through a hole in the wall of the building. And both transmitters were connected that way. Like I say, the room was air conditioned. Of course, you can't blow air out of a building unless you're sucking air into the building. So there were a couple of air filters mounted on one of the walls there for fresh air to come in so that you wouldn't have a problem with negative pressure in the room. But the auxiliary transmitter, normally it's sitting there not running. So there's nothing forcing air out of the exhaust stacks on it to the outside. It did not get the memo that it was not supposed to be an air intake. So all this damp, humid southern air over, I don't know, probably at least 10 years has been sucking in through those vents the majority of the time because, the transmitter just is not used that often. And the humidity, boy, it had just destroyed everything inside of there. So I've been working on that this week, and it's not been my greatest enjoyment, but there you go, another horror tale from the transmitter sites. By the way, that tube was a 3CX15000A7, and that was a 30 kilowatt transmitter. Now, 30,000 watts is a lot to ask of that particular tube, but it would do it. I'd been running at much less power than that, though, and so had the guys before me. And obviously, that one would not have made 30,000 watts. But now, due to the years of all that going on, it's going to need quite a bit of work. Well, last week I asked a question from the technician exam. Which of the following types of feed line has the lowest loss at VHF and UHF frequencies? Your choices were A, 50 ohm flexible coax, B, multi-conductor unbalanced cable, C, air insulated hardline, or D, 75 ohm flexible coax. And we had a winner on that. Of course, most folks got that one right, but we could only have one winner, and the random number came up to Bill N4DH, and he said that would be hardline, George. And you're correct, so congratulations, Bill. We're going to send you this DX Engineering cap, courtesy of our friends at DX Engineering. They'll be getting that out to you right away. For next week, I've got another prize here, and this is going to be an MFJ 270 lightning surge suppressor. This particular one right here has got regular SO239s to mate with a PL259 connector. This is a gas discharge tube inside of here, so it helps keep lightning damage or static electricity from coming back on your transceiver. This one's rated at 400 watts, but they've got a variety of them for different wattages, and I believe they've got some that even have Type-N connectors on them as well. So if you'd like to win this MFJ 270 lightning surge protector, then answer this for me. I just showed you that really ugly looking tube. I don't know if Brian still got that photo handy or not, but that's the bottom of it. It was the very first one. The second one. There it is in its native environment. There it is sitting out naked. That's a 3CX 15000A7. Tell me how many elements are in that particular tube there. If you think you know the answer, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could be next week's lucky winner. And now, enough on transmitter horror tales and ugly tubes. By the way, I'm going to enter that in the Ugly Tube of the Year contest, and I think I've got a good chance of becoming the winner there. But let's get Amanda on here now and change the subject.
Hey, thanks, George. First of all, I have a question actually about your socket there. Randy K7AGE wants to know how much for a new socket for that tube.
That I don't know yet because they don't make that particular transmitter anymore. I'm still waiting for an answer from the people who own the website now and claim to be that company. I haven't got an answer from them yet. I'm guessing the tube socket itself it's probably going to run a couple of grand. The tube, I'm going to have to replace it as well. I'm sure it's on its last leg, but it had arced up so bad that if I put that old rusty tube in a fresh new socket, it's just going to burn it right up. So I've got to have another tube, and they rebuild those. I don't know what they'll do when I send them that one, but you can buy a rebuilt tube, and it's right at $2,000 itself. So, we're talking probably $4,000 minimum to get it back.
If a rebuilt one is $2,000, what does a new one cost?
I don't know. I didn't check that, but it's probably, $5,000-6,000 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, they're getting expensive.
It's ugly.
Okay, the next question, Val. I loved your guest book, by the way. I had to make a little bit of fun of it on the in the chat, but that was cool. And Don, shame on you.
What?
Brown crayon. Come on. Okay, I have a real question here. Val, have you heard of anyone being able to work the Mongolia DX station that's on right now?
No, I have not.
Okay. I hadn't even heard. I hadn't heard of any real a lot of DX being on in the first place. So anyone that's getting Mongolia, hey, congrats to you. And speaking of DX, you guys, I have something really.
Oh yeah, I was hoping you'd show that.
I don't. Is it?
Congratulations.
Can you guys see it okay? DXCC. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. I've worked so hard for that. Jeff is giving me a signal right now that Amanda's number one, if you believe that. Maybe with the middle finger. No, I'm kidding. He's really proud, but he's about 2 away, you guys. So he's right there with us. And okay, I have another question, George. Marty wants to know if you're going to organize a snipe hunt this year at Huntsville Hamfest.
Well, yeah, we might. It just depends. We work on that with Don's partner there. St. Louis. No, is it St. Louis spare rib? No, Cincinnati spare rib.
Cincinnati short rib.
Short rib. Chris.
Cincinnati short rib. That's right.
Yeah, our young ham buddy there. I'll have to get with Chris and see if we're going to organize a snipe hunt. It's such a fun activity. Someone asked me earlier, what do they taste like? Chicken.
Yeah, everything tastes like chicken. Mm-hmm. Stupid question.
They're really hard to catch, too.
Yeah.
The voice of experience.
And you guys have been talking about Pokemon. I play it. I'm on Pokemon.
What level?
I'm only a level 3. I'm trying to get to 5 so I can go to a gym. And I live next to a Walmart, so I get a lot of opportunities not having to walk very far away. But when Val brought up her guest book and people talking about signing it and things like that, it actually made me think about we should kind of have our own little ham Pokemon. So you guys should be going out to everybody else's ham shacks out there and having guest books and signing it and see how many people can come to your shack and sign your guest book and just kind of show off your shack and have people collect points. I think that'd be the coolest thing. What do you think, Val? Can we do that?
I think, it would take a little work to plan it all out, but yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I was trying to explain to Jeff.
It's more fun because it asks if you look in the medicine cabinet and you have to do a doodle, and then you have to pick which song describes your bathroom experience, and it asks what you thought of what was in the medicine cabinet. It's kind of funny. It's goofy, but I have a lot of call signs in that book right now.
Dawn, it's just sometimes you kill me. Really?
Where's that Beavis and Butthead thing that Jeff had earlier? Yeah.
It's right here.
She said doodle.
This is what happens when Bob stays away.
So they're not that kind of doodle.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, you guys, let us know. Let us know if you can help us out with sign someone else's Ham Shack guest book. I think that would be hilarious. And let's have some competition. I can't see what's going on, so evidently Brian is showing something super funny.
No, he's not.
Okay. Don's just cracking himself up.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So
hey, speaking of Pokemon and funny, I wish Brian had the link. My son is playing Pokemon Go, and he 10:37 the other night. We live out in the country. There's one out in the backyard, so he decided. He went out the back door, and I know this because, we have the Ring doorbell that we advertise on Ham Nation here, the Ring, and it recorded him going outside, and he went down the steps off the deck and around, and he got about 4 or 5 steps out into the dark in the yard, and then he turned around. Nope, all the way back into the house. He thought it was so funny. So funny. Pokemon Go.
It's okay. I go outside to look for them, and as soon as a neighbor drives by, I pick up my phone like, hello, hi, how you doing? And I'm not really talking to anybody, but I just don't want them to know that I'm actually out in their yard looking for a Pokemon. So I'm sorry, neighbors. You guys, that's all I have. Oh, wait, one more thing. When is the date for Huntsville, Dawn, in case anyone's interested in coming out there to see you guys?
It is. I would have to pull up. Here we go. Let's just do this. It's in like a month. Let me pull up the actual. I hate Windows 10. It is August 19th and 20th. So it's like it's in exactly 4 weeks. It's August 9th. It's the third weekend in August, and it's exactly 3 months after Dayton because Dayton is the third weekend in May. So Huntsville is the third weekend in August, the 19th and the 20th. Hamfest.org. There it is. Great website. And, of course, we'll do the Young Ham of the Year Award there. And they're going to have a wolf hong. I hope so. Ted Randall will be there with WTWW, and who else? Tom, W5KUB, will be there broadcasting the whole thing. And if you can't be there, of course, you can watch it on W5KUB. Gordo with the funny hat will be there, and just all kinds of cool stuff. And we'll do the Young Ham of the Year Award at 2 o'clock on Saturday, 2 o'clock Alabama time. That would be, I guess it's Eastern there, whatever it is, whatever the time is in Huntsville, Alabama at 2 o'clock. If you can't be there in person, you can watch the Young Ham of the Year Award presentation on W5KUB.com. And Tom's in the chat room. Tom, thank you. We appreciate your continued support of the Huntsville Ham Fest and the Young Ham of the Year. So, yeah, we hope to see you there in Huntsville, August 19th and 20th.
All right. Thank you, guys. And can't wait to hear. Have you announced who the Young Ham of the Year is yet?
Have not heard. I have not heard,
okay.
But it should be imminent. Should be imminent.
I'm excited. And all right, that's all I have, you guys. I know that there's the 40-meter net is on 7180. And boy, I have to tell you, I haven't seen the 20-meter net. Post that somebody real quick, like in chat if you have. 14 Charlie for the D-Star net, of course. And do drop in for the Echo Link net.
Yep,
and
that's 355-800 for those of you who are not numerically challenged.
All right. That's all I have. Thanks, you guys, and thanks for enduring my Pokemon. You guys can come up with my call sign Pokemon name if you want. Let me know what it is.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. Well, George, Val, anything? There it is. There it is. There it goes. Watch this. Watch this.
Yeah, 14,268 for the 20-meter net. And that's it.
There he goes. Nope. He'd had enough of it. Yep. I asked him, I said, why'd you come back in? He said, there's animals out there, Dad. It's dark.
Mice.
14,268, you said? That's 20 meters, 268? There it is, yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. All right. George, Val, anything else from you guys?
Nothing to report.
Nope. That's it.
I'll just report the fires are dying down here. So we're about 45% contained, and everybody that's been evacuated is ready to go home. And the last of them are going home tomorrow morning. So yay for that.
Oh, that's right. You guys were providing communication support, weren't you? You and Jeff.
That's right. There's a team of us, and we were in this nifty little van, and we were parked right outside the sheriff's office substation because they were about the size of a shed. So we were outside, and we handled all the evacuation traffic for the week, and it was quite fulfilling, actually. Not actually any ham radio bands used, but we still helped in a huge way.
That is awesome. You know, we all should be so in debt to anybody who goes out and does anything like that. The first responders, EMS, fire, police, anybody like that, especially in light of the recent happenings in Baton Rouge over the weekend and Dallas prior to that. I cannot wrap my head around things like that. I was a former first responder myself. I was an EMT for a very, very, very brief amount of time. So anybody who does that kind of work is near and dear to my heart. So let's support all of our first responders and keep them in our prayers. It's a tough time that we're all going through now, and they put their lives on the line for us. And I think speaking for all of us here on Ham Nation, we certainly appreciate the work that all of the first responders do. So I think we'll wrap it up tonight for the Assemble Throng and for Dr. T, who graciously came in to give us a live report, and for Gordon. We'll say 7-3 for now, and we'll catch all of you next time right here on Ham Nation. So 7-3 and good night, everybody.